another weird one. You're a karate guy who rides in on a moped, shoots Hadoukens, and can meditate to make a shield. It looks neat, but it's super repetitive.
Well, we're getting down to the wire now. Only a few games left, but don't worry, I saved the most Taito-y Taito games for last.
Taito's beat-em-ups are insane. Fuck games like Streets of Rage and Final Fight, they're not quirky and fucked up enough for a guy like me anymore. Taito has shown me the way. First, the Ninja Kids. Imagine the TMNT arcade game, but replace the Ninja Turtles with Sesame Street puppets who cut people in half and fight motherfucking Satan, and you have the Ninja Kids. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. The Satan. It has some interesting shit. I especially like the boss fight against the werewolf. The moon acts as the enemy's life bar, which is a neat touch. Dungeon magic is pretty neat too. It's a fantasy-themed beat-em-up with branching paths and a ton of items and weapons to collect. It's at an isometric view, which gets kind of annoying when you're trying to hit enemies at an angle. Arabian Magic kind of reminds me of Golden Axe, if all the characters just shit their pants and were walking around with anus gravy caked in their cracks. You can unleash a genie to attack enemies and even get new ones from bosses you beat. It's your average arcade beat-em-up. Growl, however, is anything but average. How so? Well, you play as Hulk Hogan and Indiana Jones! This game is Taito as fuck. It takes place in the early 20th century, but has a ton of weapons that weren't invented until the late 20th century. The mission is to save animals from an army of evil shitbag poachers. What's actually cool is that there aren't many level breaks. Other than a lava cave you go into, all the levels are part of a long-ass background that scrolls. Every time you put a coin in the game, it goes, "Hey, come on!" I enter coins just to hear this. It sounds great. After you lay waste to hundreds of animal-hating fuckfaces, you face the evil king of the poachers, who turns out to be a giant alien worm.
See? I told you this game was Taito as fuck.
You kill him, and all the animals come to hang out. This game is hilarious, weird, good fun. And that's kind of what I'm here for now. If it wasn't weird, I'd be pissed.
Okay, so here we go. Here it comes. This is by far, without a doubt, the Taitoist of all titles on Taito Legends. It is Violence Fight.
From the very beginning, this game has already given me more material to talk about in just this text wall than any game ever could. In the early part of the 1950s in the USA, a game called Violence Fight was in vogue among mafia, reckless drivers, and general businessmen. The Violence Fight was the game to struggle for, #1 quarreler with fighters who were gathered from all parts of the USA, speaking boastingly of their strength. And of course, a lot of winning money as well, as the honor were given to the winner. Here in a downtown in LA, a young fighter Bat and his manager Blinks seek for the winning money eagerly. As a matter of fact, can Bad take the #1 place in the USA? Wait, they spelled his name 2 different ways? Is it Bad or Bat? Yeah, here you go. His name is Bat Blue. Like Labatt Blue? Maybe he's a Canadian beer fan. Wait, no, it's Bad Blue on the character select.
Make up your mind. He's the main character. You can't decide what his name is?
Lick Joe? Lick Joe! His name is Lick Joe!
I'm sorry, Bad Blue or Bat Blue or Labatt Blue. I'm gonna have to pick Lick Joe.
Okay, let's get into the game. Okay, I'm sorry, Lick Joe! Lick Joe! Hey everybody, who wants to lick Joe? Oh, fuck names like Ryu and Ken, Scorpion, Sub-Zero. Lick motherfucking Joe! Alright, that's the best name I ever heard. So anyway, according to his bio, he killed 13 wrestlers during playing. What kind of wrestling promotion lets a guy wrestle after killing 13 wrestlers? Why is he not in jail? Instead, he's allowed to be in the Violence Fight? Well, I mean, it is the Violence Fight. Oh my god, it controls like ass. It's kind of like an even shittier version of Pit Fighter. But you know what? It's got Lick Joe, and that more than makes up for it. Between matches, you get this awful art of the character and their manager. It's kind of like the taunting screens in Street Fighter. But in Violence Fight, it's fucked to shit. Sammy you? What is that supposed to mean?
Sammy you? Sammy you? Is it trying to say that Sammy is you? or it's just saying Sammy to you, like fuck you. Oh, I've been wasting my time with curse words like shit, fuck, and ass and bitch. But Taito comes along into my life and shows me the real way, the real Mac Daddy of curse words. No, instead of fuck you, I'm saying Sammy you. Hey, Sammy you salmon mother Sammier.
Every time you hit an enemy, these weird words show up like Dagoon and Bogun and Goon. Is it like the sound the hits make, like an onomatopoeia, which is a weird word in itself? But anyway, what the fuck sound is Dagoon? Imagine if you were watching the 60s Batman, and every time someone gets hit, instead of saying bam, pow, or biff, it said Dagoon, Bogon, and Goon. Seriously, I can't praise this game enough. It's comedic genius. I mean, you could have the funniest comedians of all time write for years and never come close to the perfection that is Violence Fight. Why are you fighting a tiger? What the fuck is score a point over? Why are the Twin Towers in the background of 1950s Los Angeles? Violence Fight. That's fucking why.
The first rule of Violence Fight is you talk about Violence Fight. Fuck Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter or any of these other fighting games on next-gen consoles. No! I want fucking Violence Fight! Well, that's Taito Legends. There was some good, some bad, some ugly, and then there was Violence Fight. But I gotta end this because this was a marathon. 68 games over those 2 discs, and if you count Legend of Kage on NES, that was 69 games reviewed this month. 69, dudes! Okay, that animated intro was way too good. How am I gonna top that? Well, anyway, I want to take you back to the holiday shopping season of December '92.
Kids were hyped for awesome new toys, and I guess the movie toys on VHS too. But I was more into demonic toys, which was released the same year. Anyway, my Christmas list included a Batman Returns playset, probably some Ninja Turtles figures, and of course, Super Nintendo games. But sadly, many kids didn't get a Super Nintendo from Santa, and instead got this lump of coal shat into their stockings. Bartman meets Radioactive Man.
Now, you may remember, I already talked about the first 2 Simpsons NES games. Boy, that was 13 years ago. Damn. But these were so bad, they literally made me eat my own shorts. The Simpsons is a show that's been running for a long, long time. It was great back then, but it's gone on way too long, and it needs to stop. Okay, on to AVGN episode 180-something.
Well, The Simpsons is obviously a huge franchise, and if you take a look at all the other huge franchises that made it to the NES, you'll see that one certain company held the monopoly. Spider-Man, LJN, Friday the 13th, LJN, X-Men, LJN, Jaws, LJN, Back to the Future, LJN, Karate Kid, LJN, Roger Rabbit, LJN, Simpsons, Acclaim. Who bought and owned LJN? Acclaim. Why couldn't it be Konami? Konami made some awesome Ninja Turtles games and had the rights to make the Simpsons arcade game, which was probably one of the most popular beat-em-ups ever made. What deal with the devil did Acclaim make to get the rights to make Simpsons Nintendo games? Even on the 16-bit consoles, we never got a port of the Simpsons arcade. And for what reason? They put it on DOS and Commodore 64. Seriously, the only way to play Simpsons arcade at home back in the day was on DOS and Commodore 64? I can't even imagine trying to play it that way.
I never got the whole fascination with Bartman. I mean, in the 90s, there was Bartman merchandise out the ass. I mean, Bartman was everywhere, except for the actual show.
When this game came out, the only time Bartman ever appeared on the show was in the episode 3 Men in a Comic Book from Season 2.
There was a Bartman comic book, but that didn't really start till 93, the year after this game came out. They must have been really reaching for ideas to vomit out another Simpsons game.
The plot starts with Bart in his treehouse reading a comic when Fallout Boy, the sidekick of Radioactive Man, not the emo band, comes in and tells Bart that Radioactive Man is trapped in the limbo dimension and needs Bart's help to escape. So Bart changes into Bartman and sets out to help Radioactive Man.
So this is the third Simpsons NES game, and it seems Bart's learned nothing after fighting space mutants and the world.
Because he still controls like shit. Even that jumping sound is intact.
Yeah, we get it.
So it definitely feels like the third part of a trilogy of paper cuts on your dick hole. So the point of the game is to defeat 3 supervillains and restore Radioactive Man's powers so you can take on Braino the Magnificent. The first enemy you take on is Swamp Hag. You start off in a junkyard fighting dogs, giant bugs, and a weird guy that I think was in the background of an episode one time. There's also tiny rats that are too short to hit. Shit like this is up there with the most asshole-ish offenses in horrible game design. How does making an enemy impossible to hit fair? It's bullshit. Along the way, you collect power-ups, like laser eyes, a tornado that makes Bart invincible, exclamation points that give you a 1-up. If you collect 20 of them, there's also whatever this is that brings you to the Limbo Zone. It's a bonus level that wastes your time and makes you redo most of the level. Yeah, you can collect 1-ups here, but you get enough of them during the actual game. It's best just to skip them, unless you actually want to play more of this game, which I don't. Whenever you get to these giant mountains of trash, it's a crapshoot. Going up the mountain is easy enough. When you have to go down the other side, you have no idea where you can land, so you just have to jump and hope for the best. Sometimes you can see a screw or a gear shooting up, so you know a platform's there, but lots of the time, you just have to jump and hope you land on something. If you don't land on a tire pile, you fall through the trash and die. I don't get why you can step on tires and TVs but just go straight through a solid mountain of fucking garbage until you fall to hell. I hate this shit, and when you die, odds are you're starting all over from the beginning. There's checkpoints, but they're far into the level, and these levels go on forever. It's a soul-crushing experience, but eventually you'll see through the bullshit and realize exactly how lazy this game truly is. You just keep encountering the same 4 or 5 things over and over. It's monotonous and honestly, a little insulting. I can't understand who the fuck this was meant for. It can't be Simpsons fans, because other than Bart and a couple other characters, this game has barely anything to do with the show. And it definitely can't be aimed at people who like good video games, because this game sucks nut butter from a jar. Level 2 is another LJN game requirement, the sewer level. I've played a lot of suck-bitch sewer levels in my life, and this one is up there with the worst of them. There aren't many enemies, but there's these weird platform things that shoot at you. For some reason, these snowflakes or sparks or whatever they are don't do shit, unless you're standing on it. I mean, it's just another thing that they threw in just to prey upon first-time players. You know, if this game were a person, it'd be a person I don't like. These platforms take forever, so to save time, I just jump down. But the game decides all of a sudden to kill you. If the screen doesn't catch up with Bart, you just die. And with the crap controls, expect to die a lot. Oh, I mean, these jumps, just look. The next level's a flying one. It's annoying and long, but once you know what to expect, it's easy. These bats are pretty annoying because their bombs are really hard to avoid. Bat shit bombs. I mean, actually, this level is the closest you get to a shred of actual fun. It's a shame. Then you fight Swamp Hag. She throws lumps of shit down at you from a treetop. You freeze it, jump on the frozen shit platforms, and then beat the fuck out of her. Also, I should mention, this boss fight is the exact moment where the game developers just gave up. It honestly messed with my head because it's so insanely easy. Everything else until this point was so frustrating, I wanted to belt sand my anus hole off. This boss fight, though, is so easy, it's almost pointless. And the next levels are easy too. There's the occasional beginner's trap, but by now I've gotten used to it. This level with the conveyor belt was kind of fucked, but once you realize exactly what's fucked about it, you're able to make it to the exit, no problem. It's the most obvious path to take. But the game fucks with your head. You think that there's no way it could actually be that easy, but it is. There's numerous routes to take, and if you go the wrong way, you'll fall into a piss river. I mean, seriously, look at that. It's a glowing yellow river of piss that Bart drowns in. The water levels seem like they're going to be hard because, you know, they're water levels. But no, I got through them without any issues. In this one, everything's dark except for the searchlight, and even this is easy. The boss here is Dr. Julius Crab, not Zoidberg. All you have to do is avoid the small crab, and sure, you can hit him 3 times, and then it's on to the next level. Now you're in the underground caves of Lava Man. This level is whatever. I got stuck in the beginning here for a while before I realized I have to fall down this pit. Up until now, Bart died from falling in pits, and the game was cheap as shit with its death traps, so I kept passing it. Like I said, this game fucks with your head. Other than that, the level's straightforward. It's actually challenging and doesn't throw too much bullshit at you. You also get to make use of Bartman's flight powers. They're limited, so whatever you do, don't run out in a place where you get fucked over, like this. The next level is a bullshit maze of doorways that lead you all over the place. This is definitely the worst level in the game. The first thing you run into is a waterfall that kills you instantly. There's absolutely zero indication that it's a hazard until you touch it and just die. The shit part is, they're littered throughout the level, and a lot of time I forget and get killed again. They just look like part of the background. Also, you can't jump between platforms, even if they look close enough. If you do, guess what? You die. Eventually, you find your way around and get near the end when they throw this room at you. You have to choose between 4 doors. One door is the right way, and the others just bring you damn near back to the beginning. So of course I chose the wrong door and had to redo it all. This is extremely close to the end of the game. By now I know all the traps and how to avoid them, but I keep getting fucked by this door puzzle. It's basically the coffin puzzle in Bart vs. the World repackaged and even more annoying. I'm on my last life, and even if I make it through, I'm probably gonna have to do the fucking door puzzle again. I drew a map, and thankfully, that helped out. I made it through, beat Lava Man, who thank God is also easy as shit, and got Radioactive Man's final power back. They talk for like 5 seconds, then go off together to face the final boss. Braino the Magnificent! Oh, I'm on my last life. I really don't want to do this over again. But it's the easiest boss fight so far. You shoot lasers that bounce off Braino and reflect off Radioactive Man. It only takes 5 hits, and Braino can hardly even hurt you. The guy's a giant brain, but it's dumb as shit. Then Radioactive Man awkwardly talks to Bartman again, and that's it. The shitty-ass game is done. And I don't have to play another one for a while. But for how long? For a little bit at least. The NES Simpsons games were such a steaming ass pile, squirted out the diseased dickhole of my arch nemesis LJN in disguise.
Probably already aware, Conton City TV's been hijacked. And there's someone named Hugh. Not sure what he's up to, but...
After we finished fighting Janemba in that time left, I don't remember exactly what went down after that.
Thanks to all of you. Let's take a look.
So... the image coming in clear? All right, seems to be working. Hey there, my name's Few.
Oh, you found that, yeah. Hello.
Hey God, what the hell?
Oh, I'm sorry, man. I turned too much water into wine, and all the other guys were like, oh, you're not as smody as you used to be. And I'm like, hey, I can still do stuff. So
You tornadoed our studio?
oh, next to it, I was hitting the Target store across the street.
Well, I guess with that logo, they are kind of asking for it.
Hey bro, I hope you don't mind. I'm gonna go from a laughing Buddha to a reclining Buddha.
Do what you gotta do.
Okay, who who's gonna fix all this?
Well, I would, but it takes me about like 40 days to sober up.
40 days?
Or 40 years, something like that. There's always a 40 involved. Look, just tell your insurance company that it was an act of me. I'll even sign the paperwork for it.
You're too kind.
Gotta go. Vishni's doing 4 shots at once. Shot!
Well, the fact of the matter is we can't inspect your place without your premiums going up. Are you willing to risk that?
Do I have a choice?
Does anyone with insurance?
Okay, well, when do you think you can look at the place?
Well, we're swamped with paperwork from the last insurance company that we had.
Wait, what'd you say?
I didn't. You did.
Oh, what'd I say?
That you'll wait at home
Connecting
and
to
we'll
a
check
new
it out.
timeline.
Okay,
What could
sounds
that
fine.
possibly
You
mean?
sound fine.
Thanks, but
Now that I've
what?
seen this
You were saying
video,
goodbye.
things
Oh,
are becoming
goodbye.
clearer. I think I'm starting to remember what happened.
well, all I have to do is wait.
My father and Goku fused, but I don't know, was that the
Very
new
long time.
timeline?
What the title card said. What is taking so long? Yeah.
Okay, we checked out the place.
Why did it take forever? I've been waiting so long. 3 presidents almost went to jail.
We wanted to make sure that everything
I have
was
no
done
idea
as
what's
best
going
as it could be. That being said, it's gonna take a couple months.
I waited all this time for
We're
that.
not going
That
to
barely
be able
seems
to get
worth
there
it.
easily.
Well, that's why we're called the Simpsons Movie Insurance. The Simpsons movie took a long time to come out.
Yeah,
Unless-
they caught up.
Wait.
Okay, make whatever Simpsons has been on too long joke that you want, but I think I speak for many when I say this show truly has defined a generation of comedy. I'm really not kidding when I say maybe 80% of modern humor in media today can be traced back to The Simpsons. Every self-aware reference, cleverly overwritten line, visually surreal cutaways, and slight jab at popular culture most likely stem from this series. Truth be told, I think it's one of the most influential shows in television history. With that said, people argue its peak was roughly 1990 to 1995, and The Simpsons movie wasn't even talked about seriously until 1997. But okay, just because something's not in its prime doesn't mean you can't still make a cinematic event out of it. The audience and excitement is still there, but it took so long to agree on ideas while still producing the show itself that the film didn't come out until 10 years later in 2007. This is long after The Simpsons themselves acknowledged they've probably been on too long.
They'll never stop the Simpsons. Have no fears, we've got stories for years.
Still, the film was a big deal when it came out, with a marketing bonanza that was all over the place, including a tie-in with 7-Eleven to turn all their convenience stores into Quickie Mart, filled with Simpson in-jokes. And I think we can all agree this stuff was probably better than the film itself. Okay, so I've never met anyone who hated this movie, but I've also never met anyone who loved it either. Honestly, I think if it came out 10 years earlier, it might have had more lasting power and been more influential. But compare the animation in this movie to a current Simpsons episode. Does it really look that different? When I saw it, people laughed and had a good time, but nobody really discussed it after. It was a properly big story with a properly big budget, but with similar jokes to what we saw on TV at the time. Which again, 10 years earlier would have been fine when that was a bit more fresh. I'd actually argue this film probably did most things correctly, except come out a decade earlier. But look, I don't like trash talking The Simpsons because they do still mean a lot to me, and to their credit, some of their newer seasons have had some real hits in them, and even tried to do something new here and there. I'm just here to look at both the impact and lack of impact the movie had when it came out 15 years ago. Because frankly, it is a film that's tricky to put in one box, and I find movies like that interesting. So, because it looks like we're suffering some delays as well.
Testing?
Oh, just bored anyway.
Feeble time patrollers. Can
Let's
you
take a look
hear
at
me?
the Simpsons movie.
With the great power of the toughest.
Oh, sorry, I put on Futurama by
The
accident.
entire world under my control.
This is actually an itchy and scratchy cartoon, and for all the spin-offs and crossovers we've had over the years,
You will
why
all
hasn't Itchy and
submit
Scratchy got a
and
show
serve
slash movie of
as
their
my
own?
slaves.
Oh wait, they've kind of had a ton, haven't they?
That's right. You heard me correctly. You will be the first to
Really
taste
might be
my
the most beautifully composed shot in the movie.
Prepare yourselves.
They do the missile shot that misled a lot of people in the trailer, which, okay, I know Simpsons is cartoony, but one missile is literally the size of Georgia. It's not that cartoony. And we discover this is all a film the Simpsons are watching.
Can't believe we're paying to see something we get on TV for free.
If we Send it that way, it'll come across that way. And yeah, that is the issue for a little bit of time. The first third isn't really a movie as much as leftover jokes they didn't use in the show. I mean, okay, the Itchy and Scratchy bit is pretty funny, but if you've been waiting years for a Simpsons movie like many of us did, is this really the big opening that would satisfy you?
Everybody in this theater is a giant sucker, especially you!
It seems thrown together last minute. Like, even these backgrounds flying by look a little cheaply animated. And I don't know, do you see any hints this movie started development in the 90s, Green Day?
Gentlemen, it's been an honor playing with you tonight.
Ooh, and a Titanic reference. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, that made me laugh pretty hard. The kind of story kinda starts when the Simpsons go to church and Flanders has an announcement.
The good Lord is telling me to confess to something.
I feel like his excitement for that should probably be a movie of its own. Maybe it is. Grandpa suddenly starts talking crazy, predicting the end of the world, leading to this pretty funny line.
Do something!
This book doesn't have any answers!
Or a reason why he's doing any of this. Yeah, they never do explain why Grandpa has this vision that accurately predicts the future. Though I guess Simpsons never will reveal how they can always tell what's gonna happen. My God, they were right! Our skulls are becoming our hair! Maybe he was referring to the trees, looking like Papa Rappa the Rapper. Guys, 2007.
Check out Hornet's Nest.
Like I said, the first third of this movie works more like random jokes from the show than a cinematic narrative. Like, I totally forgot Lisa had a subplot with an Irish boyfriend in this, because he just seems like an excuse to work in some more random laughs.
I'm Colin.
I haven't seen you at school.
Just moved from Ireland. My dad's a musician.
Is he?
He's not Bono.
I actually well liked it more if they tried growing more of a relationship between her and Milhouse. At least I have a connection with him as opposed to this blando rando.
I am passionate about the planet.
Say global warming is a myth.
Further study is needed.
That's for selling out your beliefs.
Get used to that, Simpsons.
I'm the mascot of an evil corporation.
Now everybody smile.
Can predict the future! Here's a joke somebody clearly threw out in the at the last minute. Oh! That's funny. Where do we put it? I don't know. It's a movie. We can tie things together as loosely as the show does.
I can't believe we're paying. This is something we get on TV for free.
Yeah, that line's already not aging well. Anyway, we continue to get a lot of random jokes and almost get like 3 short lines about Springfield with occasional plot stuff. You want to meme it? Steamed hams without steamed hams. Haha, has anybody thought of that? No, really, I'd be shocked if somebody hasn't. Steamed dog, though. Yeah, this film does try to earn its PG-13 by going a little edgier on the jokes, which is a touch out of character, but again, it's a movie. I want to see what they can't do on TV. No matter how a little uncomfortable it might be by today's standards.
Ha ha! Ha ha! Ha ha!
Bart is gonna be into some weird shit when he gets older. If you take him to the Dalai Lama, that'll straighten him out. This does lead into a subplot where Bart starts to prefer Flanders as a father because Homer is always absent and reckless, but has to fight for space for the subplot that deserves even more attention. Homer gets a pig! The story is essential to the first 30 minutes and then never returns in the rest of the movie.
Good friends kill the pig.
You can't kill him if he's wearing people clothes.
It's true. Why do you think so many pigs are mascots for delis?
How did the pig tracks get on the ceiling?
Spider Pig, Spider Pig.
And yes, Spider Pig was ruined for me by the constant advertising all over the place.
Does whatever a Spider Pig does.
The Simpsons Movie.
Spider Pig, Spider Pig.
The Simpsons Movie.
Does whatever a Spider Pig does.
The Simpsons Movie.
If Hans Zimmer didn't do an epic orchestral version of it as a joke that they then also threw in as a joke, I might have rated this obnoxious joke with, well, one of my jokes. Another slight issue is the pacing, which admittedly is tricky for writing like this. It wants to capture the comedy of the show, but still move at a cinematic speed. So sometimes the jokes will be one after another, not allowing any character moments to sink in.
Can't bring my pants.
What am I, Tommy Bahama?
This is the worst day of my life.
Worst day of your life so far.
Or we'll just hold on a joke randomly.
You smiled, I'm off the hook.
Just just put Andrew Garfield standing there awkwardly and you won't notice.